welcome to
People of Purpose.
People of Purpose.
People of Purpose.
People of Purpose.
People of Purpose is a podcast of inspiring people whose stories help you see things differently, live with intentionality, elevate the way you participate in the world, and take the necessary leaps in your life to seek and find your passions. Come with us and develop the courage to wholeheartedly pursue your purpose and unleash your truest potential. Hello, People of Purpose, and welcome to today's show. I'm super excited to meet here with Nancy Ho. Nancy and I just got to chat a little bit, and she has such an infectious, positive, youthful energy. And I think today's topic is going to align a lot for you. Today, she's talking about creating a holistic lifestyle where your professional and your personal lives are mixing in a way that's just allowing you to thrive and feel like you're succeeding in your personal well-being as well as your career. And it's such a challenge in today's age with all the work demands we have on us to have a kind of separated lives. And I can tell Nancy is someone that's figured it out and has done so for quite a while, several decades at this point. So we're really honored to share her wisdom on the show. Thanks for being here today, Nancy.
Yes, my honor to be invited. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So leadership is an important topic to me right now. I just actually did this 100-day leadership program where we were looking deep within ourselves, and then we were doing all these simulations as a team. And then I also have a business as well where I'm in a leadership position. I'm co-founder and CEO. Our team has like 13 full-time people on it now. I feel that I've been able to find ways to lead and also not be the one doing every single thing in the workplace. But at times it has required that. And I'm just really curious, like, how do you perceive leadership? Like, what is leadership to you, and how does that connect to your life?
As leadership, as the word lead, leader, lead. So one has to have the mentality to want to guide and show others the way. Of course, in order to show others the way, the person has to be inspired. Inspired, you have the inspiration. And only when you have the inspiration, then there's the energy to lead, right? And people look up to whoever that leader is and are willing to so-called follow the leader.
So you see that you're inspiring people and then people want to follow you there? Yes, absolutely. I mean, of course, I'm not talking about, the kind of just follow for the sake of, not the celebrity thingy that people want to follow, that kind of thing, but really they want to follow because it impact them. All right, impact them. Either they have a better life, better quality of how they go about in life, and of course, changes and transformation. I think the word really come across with me as a leader is that one is able to go about with a transformation rather about changing people. Yeah.
Yes.
And when did you feel that you had transformed to the point where you earned like a status of leader?
I think as a teenager. Yes, even as a teen, seriously, the people that I hang out with, all right, whoever, usually there are more boys than girls. Okay, in any case, usually somehow, I don't know why, okay? So in a lot of ways, I actually think more like a guy than a female, somehow, I don't know, right? It seems that. So even when I was in school, of course, right? So those boys that we hang out, we are in a group and all that. I came from a pretty elite school. So I would tell them, right, stuff like, all right, it's great that we could go play. It's great that we go enjoy ourselves, but if we do badly in school, badly in our grades, then we're going to have huge problem in time. So that itself, right, is, an idea that inspire others that, hey, it's great to enjoy ourselves, but then we have to think deeper than that. We have to go beyond that. So somehow, all right, so we said, okay, let's so-called study smart. After we study smart, then we can go play, right? Then that's the balance, right? So I really knew that kind of work-life balance even when I was a teenager. In that sense. Yeah, so when one is able to sort of think correctly, then that's where the transformation takes place. Whereas, just say, like I was talking about in school, right? Just say workplace now, but I'm talking in school first, all right? That a lot of them are so like focus on wanting to like um what do teenagers do now? I'm not a teen anymore. All right, on their playing their games, for example, playing their games, all fine and well, but then again, they could go deeper. What if something would give way? So come back to a workplace is the same. All right, people tend to complain about, oh, it's so much work, and I said, you better be worried if there's no work, isn't it? You better be worried when you go to office and there's hardly much work, or you are pretty having a lot of free time. So they could go beyond the thinking about the work. And if one is effective, then you're able to manage your time,
Yeah.
right? Sure. It's really being effective
Yeah.
at the end of the day
So
also.
I hear you're bringing this
Yeah,
responsibility
allocated.
to work and to leadership. It's not just about having a good time and feeling connected with others. It's also about producing work that we're proud of, that move progress forward. And if you're not
Correct.
receiving that work, then you're not working on meaningful and impactful things that are going to lead to success. And um, yeah, why do you feel like
For sure.
progress and success are so
Sure.
important aspects of fulfillment?
To believe that we only have this one life to
Yeah.
live in this lifetime. Okay, one life to live in this lifetime, right? Nobody have like they said cats got seven lifetime, right? That's what they said. Seven lives. I don't know how far is it true, but then as human, we
Yeah.
only have one life in this lifetime. So nobody wants to, I believe, nobody wants to live with regrets that could have, should have, why didn't I? But then when time
Yeah.
pass, it's past. All right. I'm already in my early 60s. Now, if I don't wake up tonight, I have no
That's
regrets.
beautiful.
Okay. After I go to sleep and then I don't wake up anymore, I have no regrets. Sure, I still have things that I want to do, but whatever I want to fulfill, all right, I have done it up to this point. And if my expiry date, is such, then it's my expiry date. All of us have expiry date, right? So if that's the time for us to end this chapter, then there's a time. But like I said, we don't want to have regrets. But also by saying that, it's not about chasing. People tend to think about they are chasing after a dream. Then they are so focused about just chasing, and usually this chasing tend to be very materialistic. Nobody chase for their health somehow. Nobody chase for their good health. I wonder why. You know what I mean? Nobody chase for having that healthy relationship. So people tend to chase for that very material things. Fine and well. I mean, in this world, all right, I often say that um, we
Yeah.
cannot live without money, of course. All right, but money isn't everything. All right, isn't everything. In fact, if problems can be solved with money, it's not a real problem. But when a problem no longer can be solved with money, then it is a real problem. I often say that. Okay, so of course we balance that. All right, I'm for the fact about having success in terms of wealth and all that, because one wouldn't feel too good if you have to budget and
Yeah.
hand to mouth. Think about it. Yeah, you won't. All right, how we want to live our life to each his own. So that kind of material success, it is important, but it shouldn't be something like, in my opinion, it's about chasing. It's about, that is all there is in life. Then something else will give. Example, often a lot of my clients, they come to me, they at the expense of. So they are successful, right? But at the expense of maybe their health, at the expense of their
Yeah.
relationship with their family, sometimes even relationship with themselves, right? So at the expense of this, at the expense of that again, that sort of success then isn't what we go for. But when I say balance, we are looking at the holistic of all areas of our life. Then it makes sense. All right. So financial wealth, sure. All right. Even our faith and spirituality, for those that have that believe in that. All right. Friends and family members, right? Of course, our health, right? Our social connection, the impact, the legacy, right? So these are all important aspects that one shouldn't leave out. then to me, that's really called balance. And not only that it's called balance, all right, you actually would then feel that fulfillment at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Lots of people have success, but they do not have fulfillment
Yeah.
as they grow older. Yeah, that tend to be a pretty glary fact. Yeah, they have a lot of things. They have their family, they have their children, they have this. I mean, just look at, okay, simple. Just look at Hollywood star. How many of them go into overdose of drugs, right? How many of them, okay, go into alcohol? How many of them, that they're unhappy, seriously unhappy, they have to take their life? I mean, all
Yeah.
this is
Too
in the
many.
news. We all know that, right? Without mentioning any names. So they have the power, so to speak. They have the power. They even have the looks. They have the body. They have the money. They have the popularity. But why are they unhappy? Because they lack fulfillment. They do not have the fulfillment. So therefore, and this is, this lack of fulfillment is so hard to describe. It's just so intense, and it's also not right, so-called not right, to complain because people look at you. What's wrong with you? You have got everything and you're complaining, right? But then deep down, you just feel the void. The unfulfillment is really about the void, feeling that void, the emptiness.
What is that
Waking
void?
up to what?
Is that purpose? Is that fulfillment? Like what is in that void? How can we be more aware of that void?
Yeah, like I said, the emptiness. What am I waking up to? Sure, I know I've got this and I've got that and everything else, but seriously, what am I waking up to? So, with a lot of my clients, one thing that I would help them first, all right, is to establish, identify their values. If we do not live life with values, then where is our compass?
Yeah.
Where is our come from? Right? So the first thing is that our set of values. So day in, night out, right? We are living life based on our values. Then how do we want to express these values? That's the thing, right? How do you want to express it? How do you want to take it to the world? How do you want to be able to wake up every morning with your values and whether, the activities that you
Yeah.
want to engage in? Right? Then that become more purposeful. Then of course we all know that from the time we were young, we know that, right? Goal setting, goal setting. So what is goal setting? Right? Is to fulfill our desire, whatever that means. Right? Then when you do all that, then then at the end of the day, it has purpose, it has meaning, and then you have
So you're
fulfillment.
basically saying you shouldn't do the goal setting until you've identified your values and how you want to express those values. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Otherwise, you just follow the Joneses. If you just you just do your goal setting just do your goal setting. I'm saying for every one of us,
Yeah.
then we are just following Joneses, or we just dream up stuff. You know what we call it, right? Perhaps the American dream.
So how do we identify our values? Like I
Yeah.
would say a
So
lot
this,
of people want to be happy and healthy and wealthy and they want to feel connected. They want to have freedom and they want to have love. How do you get it focused enough to someone say these are my values, not just like, they accept 100 values, but it's like these particular ones are more me than anything else. How do you get to that point with people?
sure. Okay. For example, right? My values, the three top values for me is love, truthfulness, and integrity. So that sets my mind, okay, let's call it my mindset, that whoever I come across in my life, I will express that accordingly. So I'm very truthful, and my intention is never to hurt. But of course, depending on the circumstance and situation, one must know how to use appropriate words, let's call it, to express. But in any case, I would never um, compromise on my truthfulness. And because, right, just like I said, the very first value is love. So whatever I do is coming from this positive energy love. See? So that is a guiding
Yeah.
star. So whatever goal that I set, it becomes effortless. It's not, a struggle. Okay, when I say effortless, I don't mean without effort, but it's not a
Yeah, because
struggle to
you're already
chase.
being that thing. You're being someone
Co-
loving. You're leading your own life with truth. You're living in integrity. Those aren't like these goals
Correct.
that you're like trying to
Correct.
achieve. You are choosing them right now, no matter the circumstances.
Correct. Yeah. So this is how I guide whether my one-on-one clients or in my group coaching, the same thing, right? They first must establish their values. And it's not, value is not just something they look at it
Right.
and
How
that
do you
sounds
establish the
good and I'll just
values?
pick that. You got to think about that. No, first, of course, some people are like, oh, what value? I said, okay, first you go Google all the value words, right? You must at least have some sense what they are. Okay, I say probably Google 20 or 30 value words, whether Google or whether go ChatGPT, one of those. And then look at that and just shortlist those that resonate with yourself, right? You can feel it. When you look at that word, it's not just a word, but somehow, all right, it does something to you. It's like, yeah. Sometimes some people already live that way. Others may want to be that way. So then they shortlist, right? So from there, I always tell them to shortlist about 3 to 5 at the end. All right, then with that 3 to 5, then they, like I said, how they express, to their activities, to the way they communicate, to the
Yeah.
projects that they take on. I mean, I have set goals, and because of integrity, right? Certain projects, for example, are willing to drop it because the integrity bit is not there. So it's not just chasing for the money. Like I said, sure, I'm big about well building, but it's just if you just chase after the well, but at the expense of integrity, no, no, it won't do it. It won't cut it for me. Okay, I'm just giving myself, for myself as
Yeah.
example, but it's the same as with somebody. All right, so say one of the value is family. So if they have to do something at the expense of, like, they're not going to be with their family for a long time, then you will go against them.
How do you avoid putting your own values on other people? Like, you can always remain neutral enough, I'm assuming, to be able to honor what they say their values are. And certain people maybe don't care as much about family, and they maybe make decisions that are less truthful than you would, or they don't care about love as much as, like, building wealth or something. Do you challenge their values, or do you accept them and
Sure.
say, these are the values this person has, I will coach to that?
I would never challenge somebody's value.
Yeah.
It's to each his own. You know what I mean? To each his
Yeah.
own. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's to each his own, right? And I do not
Yeah.
impose my value on somebody else. If somebody choose not to be truthful because they need to be politically right, because their value is like, I'm just picking up from somewhere, all right, harmony, all right? Their value is harmony. So if that value is harmony, and then, you can tell by now, all right, that I'm very
Yeah.
in people's face. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean I do not want harmony, but harmony, some things you have to say it this way, to say it this way. If there's a conflict, there's a
Yeah.
conflict. Deal with it. You see? But somebody that wants harmony would not go down well with them. And that's fine. Okay, just do, I would say, do you, be you.
Yeah.
Or be you, do you. Right? Don't be somebody that you are not, because
Yeah.
it's never
Where do you think
sustainable.
people get into what's a common struggle or pattern people are facing when they're trying to live out their values, but then there's like some sort of tension between personal and professional lives?
I do not see there's
Okay.
any big difference between
Then maybe just
professional
where do
and
people
personal, right?
where is a
So,
common struggle where people stop living their values in their life? Do you see anything that your clients face that's common that stands in their way of achieving that fulfillment?
sure, I would say it's not getting a job, it's the job fit. The job fit. And it's the same thing with relationship. It's not getting a wife, it's not getting a husband. It's having that fit. If the fit is not there, again, it's not sustainable. So if someone is in an organization that for some reason the value crash, really crash, or maybe a certain organization may not even believe in the value, any values at all.
So you're saying the
Then the
fit,
fit may
like
not
as
be there.
in the match between what they values they believe in that they want to express, and then their job or their relationship or whatever it has a clash with
Yeah.
that, and they continue to fight that rather than find the right fit. Is that
Yes.
what you're suggesting?
Correct. Correct. Say for example, right? I'm in sales. And then I joined this organization, okay, as a director of sales, let's say. But what they believe is just the P&L. That's it. All they want is that profit, the P&L that looks healthy, okay, more than healthy. They do not care about how you go about it. They don't care about cutting corners. They don't care. They
Yeah.
care for closing the deal. So then, like I said, for me, truthfulness and integrity, then it can't work. It can't work. Surely, we know how to say things that are a little bit more correct and all that. That's okay, But like the example I just gave, I do not, the company do not care. All they care about is just having the business.
So when
Then
people
there's no
become
fit.
aware
It
that the
crash.
fit's not there, but they're deeply invested in it or committed or involved or like beyond what they should be, and they become aware of that, how do you coach them out of that situation?
Of course, I'm not going to say now you got to get out, but they have to look at it. Is that true? Is the crash really true? That based on, let's say, values or based on the differences, or is it just some personality differences?
Yeah.
Right, because we do things differently, right? So you have to look deep into it. It's not just in a shallow way that, oh, I crashed with you, we have conflict and therefore there's no match. So I will really get them to really look into it. Perhaps the culture is different. Culture is not good or bad, like, between you and your wife, different culture, isn't it? So that you just respect each other culture, that's a different thing altogether. How people do things is different, right? So I have to get them to look deep into it first, whether there's any truth about it. Then even there's some truth, is there some ways that you can work with each other, all right, whatever that might be, until such a time, no, it's really,
Yeah.
north and south pole, for example.
So you try to see if
Then
the
of
other
course,
side is
then
going
it's
to be
time to
flexible about
look else.
working with you. Like maybe they'll recognize that there's a value mismatch. Maybe relationships is probably the obvious one for that. Your husband, wife, or yeah, that one. You don't just want a
Yes,
divorce. Like
correct.
there's steps in between there that you can try,
No,
and
no,
you're just looking to see if the other
yeah,
person is making that
we don't do
attempt to
that.
fit with you.
Correct. Correct. An example, like I do couple therapy too. So when the couples come in and the guy will say whatever they said and the woman will say whatever she said, and I look at them and I say, he's just being a man and she's just being a woman. You know what I mean? He's just being a man. So why, ladies especially, the ladies tend to like to change their men. Don't do that. Ladies, don't do that. Don't change that man. All right. If you have decide to get married to a guy, just go into the reason why did you even marry for. Okay. So any case, all right. So guys are certain way. We know the book Man from
Yeah, yeah,
Mars and Woman from Venice, right? Exactly as like it's just different. So respect the differences, and that's okay. It's
yeah,
not about changing someone else. So there are many layers to look
yeah.
at it. It's not just one layer.
And maybe even the step
That
before that, people are showing signs of stagnation, burnout. Maybe they're complaining, but they don't recognize that there's a value misfit. How do you create that awareness in people that to see like, hey, this is not healthy for you anymore. Like, let's look at this as in, differently.
sure. So one thing is I get people looking first, what do you not
Ah,
want?
interesting.
Not what do you want. What do you want? What do you want
Yeah,
is a lot of shiny objects out there, right? So a lot of people fail to actually do that first. What do you
kind of
not
like your
want?
non-negotiables, like the boundaries
So
essentially that you won't
yes,
allow in your
correct. You're
life.
not negotiable. Yeah, exactly. And some people will look at me like, like, oh, isn't that negative? Right. The positive, you should always go for what we want. I say, no, it's not negative. because what we don't want, all right, will just go against us, and it will get even stronger
Yeah.
and stronger as time goes by. Just won't work. It just won't work. All right. At the beginning, let's say relationship, right? Because you just fell in love, all sounds so good, you're willing to compromise, you're willing to just let it go. But because it's so against you, as no, it's something you really don't want, then in time it will show up. Okay. So from looking at what we don't want, then we have the clarity to know what we
Yeah.
want.
So you look at what you don't want. Now you have the clarity to look at what you do want, and you're looking at what you want through the lens of the values that you have, which are your 3 to 5 values, not sharing everyone else's. Because if you share everyone else's, what you want is what the Joneses want.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So then you have that clarity. Yeah, that's how I guide and coach my
Nice.
people.
So
I call that.
you
Yes.
you find a way to get people to clarity, and then once they're at clarity, now they're at a level where they can move anywhere that they need to move. Is that the hardest part? Is getting people to
Yeah.
clarity?
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhat. Yeah, a lot of people lack clarity. You'd be surprised. Even I have, all these high performing professionals at the C suites and business owners and all that. Uh, they of course they worked hard. They put their head into what they are doing. Okay, but sometimes because they're so focused and so like a horse wearing blinkers, they actually lack clarity. Not about, when I say lack clarity, doesn't mean they don't know what they want, but it's like the clarity that why certain things work, why certain things won't work. All right. For example, I was just sitting with the celebrity chef last night. Okay, we had dinner. I was having dinner in his restaurant. We just sat down, and I know the restaurant very well. Okay, the people. What I'm trying to, the people, their stuff, because I hang out there so often. I know their people. So then he was kind of like sharing with me, like, oh my God, so and so is so impossible. All right, blah blah blah. And the so and so, the service staff, I know very well also because when I sit there, she would often talk to me and all that. So I look at it, I said, you lack clarity first and foremost, the kind of people you want. You just want, you think that, oh yes, of course, you run a restaurant, you need people to serve and all that. But I said it's beyond that. Or rather, it should be clear about the kind of people you do not want. Then you'll know the people you do want. Right? Otherwise, there will always be problems. So we actually even mentioned this ex-staff, again, like I said, all of them I know well enough. And he was thinking of bringing her back. I said, have the clarity why it did not work. Right? Why it did not work. She is really good at her service. She is really good with her customer. Then he thought for a while and he said, yeah, after she drinks. I said, exactly. So when she's not drinking at all, but we don't know when her tipping point. It's not like she has a glass of wine and then she's done. It's not. But, because this restaurant allow the staff to drink with the customer if the customer buys them or whatever. So in any case, yeah, I mean, which is fine, all right? But what's not fine is when you don't know the tipping point. And then that's where trouble is, when she had one too many.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you get my point. So how do you control her? When to stop? I said for her, there's only one rule if you want to bring her back. That is, she cannot drink at all during service. Right? So sure, it sounds like, why you single her out where everyone else can drink? I said, because she gives problem. There's a danger zone there. Right? And if she doesn't like that policy, then of course, then
that's
there's
him
no
trying
match.
to make a fit for her, and then she gets to choose if she wants to fit with that. She can choose in or out. She's not getting kicked out necessarily. She's choosing in or out based off the boundary that was set up to make that fit for the organization.
Correct. And that's the other thing called boundaries, you see. As a leader, you got to know boundaries. Right? It's not one size fits all at at all.
Yeah, how do you balance that,
It's
like
just not. So there
boundaries
are
based
boundaries.
off the individuals in the organization or like these company policies? Like how do you think about these one size fits all solutions versus every person gets their own set of boundaries?
I think first and foremost is like, the big picture, right? The company's
Yeah.
policy, whatever, the big picture. Then after that, we'll go with the individual if need to. Like in this
Yeah.
case I just described. There's a need to, then yeah, you go with the individual. Yeah. So it's not like everyone you need to be individual because some people can just follow rules and they're fine, and it's all good. Right? But if there's certain person, can't, whatever that reason is, then you have to work
Yeah.
on it.
And why do you think boundaries are so essential for achieving purpose, fulfillment, success? What role do boundaries uniquely play that other solutions don't necessarily get at?
Very important. First is we look at is time. So imagine everyone is going to, hey, I'm being the nice person. Everybody just throw stuff for me to help them. How am I going to complete or
Yeah.
do the things that I want to do? I mean, my KPI, what's important, my projects. So that won't work, right? So first thing is time. Second, right, the effort. Because if I can't put
Mm.
equal effort in everything. Not possible, right? Because simply if I put the effort, just like right now, right? So-called time. Now I speak with you, I
Yeah.
can't do anything else. So people think that's multitasking. I said, no. Facts is, I'm talking with you now. I mean, I can't do anything else. And let's say even I want to have my cup of tea, right? I have to pause, drink my tea, then I talk to you again, right? I
Yeah.
can't talk and drink at the same time, right? So time and effort, right? And then of course the third thing is like, like you said, people feel they're burnt out, they're given so much to do and this and that, right? So again, if you don't set boundaries, then you are taking on
Mm.
more than you can chew. And then you get frustrated, right? Then you get angry, you get upset, but doesn't cut it. In the first place, if you have boundaries, knowing how, it's not about just saying no. It's not just, okay, saying no, I won't do this, I won't do that. But more so looking at, what is your value? This is not values, that the kind of values I talked about earlier. I'm talking, okay, example, my values in front of people, right? Where I coach them, right? Whether I'm doing therapy, where I guide them, or where I strategize with them. Okay, that's why technically, okay, I'm more than a
Yeah.
life coach. I'm a life strategist. That's my value. My value isn't about knowing the algorithm of Facebook. You know what I mean? Placing that Facebook ads, for example, or going to LinkedIn, all right, doing whatever else, those technical things. That's my value. That's not my value. That I would have somebody else that
Yeah.
can do it for me, right? So what is one's value in that sense of, what are your worth, I'll call
Yeah.
it,
When did you feel like you identified your
right?
unique value point? Was that also as a teenager, or was there a lot of trial
Okay.
and error to get to that place?
That not as a
Okay.
teen, probably in my 20s, that I was being coached as well. So when I was being coached, one of the things that was told to me is like, what are you naturally good at? All right. So therefore, it's not a pure task. Some people can call it talent, but I don't want to call it talent. But I want to, what are you naturally good at without taking a course, without doing
Mm.
anything? You're just good at it. Yeah. So when people can identify with that and then they add depth to it, that's where
Yeah.
they excel. But if you just again follow Joneses because the trend is everybody jumps to this, so I also jump into it, right? And it's uphill task for me because I'm not naturally good at that. I
Hmm.
struggle at it. Then how does one become successful? It's
Yeah.
pretty
So how
challenging,
do you
isn't it?
think about when trends pop up? Like right now, there's this big trend of bringing AI into business, right? Have you figured out what your relationship is in like being a part of that trend, but also being in your unique value place?
Sure. So AI, okay, let's just, okay, AI isn't just ChatGPT, but let's take it, ChatGPT, one of the common ones. All right. Of course, I want to embrace that and use that to shorten the time if I
Mm-hmm.
want to write something, right? I want to write it even better, right? To give it more sophistication or give it more depth, give whatever. All right. So, but it's still my content, right? It's
Yeah.
still my voice, so to speak. But if I can now cut the time instead of an hour and it just 5 to 10 minutes, then I have more time
Yeah.
to go and do other things. Yeah. So somebody was actually showing me this AI on podcast. Interesting. That it was audio, all right, not video, audio, and it was complete AI, meaning like they just feed in, all right, some keywords and some contents, and then the AI had two, just like what we are doing now, interviewing each other, all right, and it's
Really.
like sounds so human voice. Yeah, I was intrigued by that. So I said, okay, so this is a CEO that I work with in this AI company, blockchain AI, cybersecurity. He's into all that. So when he showed me that sample piece that he's wanting to do that, I said it's cool. I said, can it replicate my voice? He says yes. We can train it, right? We can train it. But of course, it's
Yeah.
still got to be my content. You see my point? It's still got to be my certain content, right? But then it saves time.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, it's good to have a real person, but sometimes you may want to do a podcast
Mm.
on a certain topic, and then you don't have to go and spend so much time at it. But what is the essence of it? And then the AI do it,
Yeah.
right? So, like example, people are afraid that AI takes over somebody's job. All right, and I say AI does not take away somebody's job. It should
Mm-hmm.
empower our job. It only take away if the person is inefficient, um, not up to mark, not good enough, right? Otherwise, it should empower us. Like I said, instead of an
But it
hour, it
seems like
becomes
it's people
probably even
like
three
you that
minutes.
uniquely benefit from it because you have a lot of soft skills that the AI is not going to have, and you can empower through a mix of soft skills and your unique focus, um, and your ability to strategize. You can make your AI way more powerful than someone that can't imagine all those solutions. That they're just trying to do their one task at work, and AI is like, doing it way better than them.
Hmm.
They're going to get You have a creativity to
Hmm.
you that is always going to be important to be using AI as your friend.
Sure, creativity is
Yeah.
something I'm quite naturally good at. So, but again, somebody is naturally good at something else, then they
Yeah.
use whatever they're naturally good at. It's not like the wannabe. It's not following somebody. I have stuff that I'm not good at, so I outsource. Right? Things that I'm not good at, I outsource. Right? Things that I'm good at, I enhance it. I put in more depth to it. As I often coach, I said, don't be the
Yeah.
best. Interesting, right? Don't be the best. Yes, don't be the best because best is ceiling. After
Yeah.
you be the best, and then what? Right? I said, don't be the best, but excel. Excellence, seek excellence. Better, 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 better.
Yeah.
That has no
I
ceiling.
like that. And then what do you do about your weaknesses? How do you make sure
Oh,
that they
good.
don't become a liability in your work or your teams? You said outsource. What does that process look like to make sure that your weakness doesn't bring down the team?
No, when I say that outsource, here, of course,
Yeah.
I'm talking about work per se. Okay, like I said, my weakness in like if I need to analyze those like data, I can't. My brain just don't work, right? But that weakness is which then is somebody else's strength. Then there's where you outsource, so called outsource, whether you employ somebody or you get somebody else to do it, right? That someone else that's naturally good at it will be able to do a good piece of job. Then I struggle at it and wasting a lot of time, and I probably can't produce the kind
Yeah.
of results that somebody is good at. That's why we have a team. I mean, it's the same for you too, right? You have a team. So I'm sure your team is that you have different personalities,
Yeah.
so they play different roles, right? If everybody is doing the same thing, I mean, it's interesting. Then why we want everybody? Why do we have so many people, right? There's no need for it. Yeah. But of course, if we talk about personality kind of weaknesses that will get into one's success, then obviously we have to look into it and
Yeah,
overcome it.
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's say somebody is not assertive enough, right? The weakness is, not as assertive, and you're a leader. And being a leader and you're not assertive is going to be quite a, tall order, right? So for that, you can't outsource. For that, you have to, learn to overcome. Okay, the work that I do, I go very deep work that I will find out why the person is not being able to be assertive. I get to the
And it's usually
depth
like
of
what, a
it, the root
childhood
cause.
story or a
Then when,
relationship that broke down or a trauma
usually,
that they haven't
usually,
resolved.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah, usually childhood. Usually it comes from childhood. Yeah. Okay, so from the childhood, all right, then we know, all right, so when the subconscious and conscious mind understand that, all right, oh, that's where it come from. Interestingly, about 50-60% of it
Yeah.
is kind of like dealt with. Then the rest of it is really habits, thinking, all that combination, right? How a person think, how you need to adjust. Then of course the habits, all right,
Yeah.
that we get into, all right, that would help us to overcome that weakness, or at least, not let that weakness
Yeah.
become a stumbling
Yeah.
block.
So when we reach a stumbling place, so like I want to talk about the concept of resilience. I think that you have some good thoughts around that, and it seems like it's something we really need as leaders because when we're pressing the edges of growth and we are leading complex groups of people that all have different stumbling blocks of their own and sometimes lack awareness of
Mm-hmm.
values and have personal life things pop in. What role does resilience play in navigating these setbacks and challenges? And how can you navigate them in a way that doesn't just like
Let
say, all
me
right, I have a work problem, so goodbye family, I'm at work. Like, how do you make sure that you're keeping like integrous to your commitment to personal and professional?
Okay, let me then define
Okay.
the word resilience. That's important, right? Knowing that definition. So for me, all right, the definition of resilience is the ability to bounce back quick and continue to
Mm.
strive and thrive.
Yeah.
You see? So when we face any setback, we will come back up fast and not like, oh, I'm wounded. I need time, right? We got to bounce back and not let any excuses to allow
Yeah.
us to continue to brew over it. But it's not enough to come back fast. We also got to have the mentality that even I had that setback, what did I learn from that so that I can continue to
Mm.
strive and thrive? So regardless whether it's personal, it's professional, it's the same
Bounce
attitude.
back and then
Yeah.
find some time after you've bounced back to like reflect on it and see what you can learn.
Learn from that. Yeah. 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 And then
Do you have an
continue to just
example in your
strive.
life of a setback that we
That's
could
life.
ground this theory in?
Sure. I lost
Oh,
$300,000
that
in
sounds like a good
5
one.
months. Oh, yes. And that was when I was
Okay.
probably in my 40s. Yeah. Painful, very painful. All right, all right. So and make a long story short, and I actually invested in a business that was so called my dream thing. All right, so it's not just like I'm investing in something and expect a good return kind of thing. No, it was a dream that I wanted it. All right, but then it came a time where I said, no, it's not working out. I have to cut loss because going down, I'll just go down, 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 right? So
So
it
you were
was a
the investor.
major
You weren't running
setback,
the
right?
operation. You
Whether it's
weren't like the
financial.
CEO or something. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I was running as well. Yes, I was also spending time exactly because it was a dream thing. It wasn't just piling in money. All right. So then, when I decided to cut loss, so I cut loss enough. Actually, I was devastated. Oh, okay. What lesson did I learn from this? even though it was supposed to call a dream thing. So I have to reflect, I have to do self-reflection, what are the stuff that I've learned from this, so that I would not
Yeah.
repeat the same mistakes. That's most important. Yeah. All right. So, okay, then I don't mean it's just money. I don't mean in that sort of tone it's just money, but really it's just money. It doesn't need to take my life away. Then what strategy do I need now to strive and thrive, right? To make even more of that $300,000. Yeah. Instead of like,
So
oh,
what did you learn? Did
so-called
you just
crying
have a
over
bad
spilled milk.
strategy?
What's
You
the
had a
point?
bad team? Like you chose the wrong investors? How do you, yeah, what did you learn?
That's interesting. When did I make the biggest mistake in this case? When I'm overly positive. Yes. When I'm overly positive, I
Huh.
can't see anything else. So-called they were the blind spots. So I said, man, how could I not see it? Well, not blaming myself, not beating myself up in a sense, but I said, man, how could I not see it? Then I look at it, yeah, because I was so overly positive, because this is my dream thing that I wanted it so much that I become blinded. So that's my story, right? So then from that, the lesson I learned now is good to be positive, but don't be overly positive, right? Certain caution is needed. Certain due diligence is needed. It's not just being
So on your
positive,
next
everything
venture,
is
what
all going to
boundaries
be
did you
good,
give yourself?
Um, like I said, it's not to be overly positive. It's really there's certain
Yeah.
due diligence I should look into. Don't be careless, It's not about being so cautious, but
Yeah.
certain caution is needed. Yeah, so it's not about being like, yes, I think I can. No, that kind of I call it fake positivity. All right, there's some real elements to it. So, so be a bit more detailed, a little bit more, like I said, due
Yeah. It
diligence. That
seems
would be
like
the
it
best way to
falls into
describe
your
it. Yeah.
truthfulness aspect of your values.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes, although it's painful, but I took it on my stride. I
Yeah.
said, okay, done.
Cool. Well,
Yes.
I want to kind of shift now to just like advice you have for people. If like leaders that are looking to align their careers with their personal values, what practical steps or mindset set shifts do you recommend?
The first thing a person need to be right? Introspective. That means looking inwards. All right, because often we tend to be like too outward, right? So we have to look inwards. That's very important. Then we have to do a checklist again. Like I said, what's important, what's not important, what we want, what
Yeah.
we don't want, all of that. All right, it's extremely important in that. Okay, what brings me joy? That's that sort of stuff we have to look into it. Then like I said about the strength and weaknesses just now, right? So we have to go into that individual improvement. What are areas that I need to
Yeah.
overcome to improve upon it? Huh? Yeah, which is very important because sometimes, when we come to a certain status, we think that we know it all, right? And you don't need to improve. No, we have to improve all the time. And then how do you integrate your personal and professional life? Okay, work-life balance for me is not about having equal number of hours of work, let's call it, and play. It's not equal number of hours, but you do not
Yeah.
overlook what is important, right? Because at a certain given time, you may need to put in more time at work. At a certain given time, you may need to spend more time
Yeah.
on your self-care.
And do you find that people go from having clarity to
Yeah.
maybe years down the line, like not being clear again and needing to kind of make a transition or pivot? And how do you help them navigate that process?
It's just like, we take shower daily, right? So in this case, not daily, we need to
Yeah.
review this regularly. It's not a one-time job and that's going to be for me for the rest of my life. It doesn't work that way. You see? Then of course investing in the interpersonal relationship, right? Whoever that are important in your life, again, right? You want to spend time, you want to spend
Yeah.
the energy with them.
Yeah, exactly. So you go and you invest in the relationships that know you and see you for who you are and will tell you, hey, this is now,
Correct. Correct.
out of alignment, or you look like you're tired, or you look like you're not taking care of yourself, something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So who do you
Yeah.
keep in your inner circle? How do you
Good.
decide who those handful of people are that get to see the depth of Nancy?
I think one very important thing for me is about depth. I do not enjoy, just shooting the breeze kind of conversation. There must be depth. I don't mean depth as, oh, we can
Yeah.
always talk about serious stuff. All right? So that's depth to it, not being shallow. And then two, you got to have fun. If you hang out with people and there's no fun, why do you hang out for? Then I'd rather be alone, right? They got to be fun. If there's no fun element, it becomes like a lot of differences again. And we're unhappy over something, or somebody could be touchy because I say that. Then there's no fun. You see, the fun is like, again, no struggle.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
So there shouldn't be a struggle. Like, we should be feeling like playful and alive and happy, but at the same time we're improving and we're refining and we're growing. Yeah, it's an interesting balance to figure out, and I agree.
That's right.
Like, I think we try to figure that out all the
Exactly.
time in our company. I see someone like a Richard Branson, for example, does this really
Correct.
well with Virgin. He's always laughing and joking and pranking people, and he's multi-billionaire and has tons of companies.
Correct.
How do you
Exactly.
remain so
Exactly.
serious and disciplined and consistent,
Wait,
and
sorry.
also
Give me a
be
moment. Sorry. Give me a moment. Pause there for a moment. There's something I
okay?
need to attend to. Just give me a moment, yeah? Give me a moment. I need to mute it for a while. Why I can't mute now? Okay, don't mind. I'll come back very quickly. This is being edited. Lee? Lee? Don't change my bed sheet. Change tomorrow. You hear me? Because I'm wanting a new one tomorrow for New Year. Don't change my bed sheet. Sorry. Okay, because I overlooked to tell my helper not to do something. And then I saw she went up.
Okay.
Okay. No, anyway, go back to your
We
question.
can
And we're
wrap up
finishing
in the
soon,
next,
right?
10 minutes or
Okay.
so. Would that be fine for you?
Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I want
So
to know,
ask me
how do you
again. Sorry.
balance staying so serious and disciplined and focused, like as a CEO or a leader? You have a lot of challenges, you have a lot of responsibility, you're investing lots of money and managing a lot of people, and then at the same time you're playful and you're fun and you're free and you're someone that it is easy to be around. How do you recommend combining those two and together?
I don't think it's very difficult. It's all about time for everything. Time for everything. It's not having fun. It's have fun all the time. It's not to be serious, being serious all the time. Right? Time for everything. For example, I have this tribe that I have created, so-called my group coaching, and they've been following me for years. All right, one program after another and stuff like that. All right, a very tight group, and yeah. So when I'm coaching, I'm like, I don't mean serious as serious. Serious as there's a topic, there's something I want them to learn from that, and each time after they were done, next morning they would actually, WhatsApp their takeaway. What is their takeaway? Right? We're not going to waste time to come together for 3 hours and people not getting anything out of it except just coming in and have fun. No. So that 3 hours, we have this, like I was just covering this six C's for success, So I was going in depth. Okay, for example, the first one is about choices. So going in depth is not just a definition of choice, but for them to look into what kind of choices they've been making. All right. What kind of choices they've been making that have worked for them and have not worked for them. All right. So when we are on this exercise, we are serious. Right? After we got that doesn't mean then every hour we're going to be like serious. Then sometimes we can crack a joke or two when somebody express something. Right? But we come back, to the topic. right? We come back to that. Then after that 3 hours of coaching, right? Then they stay back and we have drinks and then we have fun, right? So time for everything. There's a that. It's not just about yeah, doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
And
just
what do
time
you
for
want to do with your
yeah.
remaining time in this world? Like as a, you're someone that seems like you have you said I have no regrets if I died right now. What are you living for? What are you excited about like in the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life?
I will still continue to do what I'm doing, right? Because what I'm doing is what I've been doing and what I'm doing is
Mm-hmm.
very meaningful because it really impacts on people's life. I've seen, how they have transformed, how they have gone on to
Yeah.
live a life of their dreams. And I'm not just talking about success as wealth and all that, but in all areas of life. So that's very, very meaningful. And of course, I want to come a time that is no longer any commercial exchange. That means, all right, anywhere, anyone needs me, I'm there. Yeah, I would continue doing that, and I'd like to also be a angel investor, not because I'm interested in people's business, but because I want to give somebody a break. We do know that there are people that have got great ideas, but if they go to a bank, they may not be able to
Yeah.
get a dime at all, so to speak, right? And for that, they pay forward, right? So when they make it, they pay forward. So
I
that's my
love that. I
ultimate
love that.
dreams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually said the angel investor thing for myself too. When I have the means to, I want to do the same thing.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool like
exactly. Yeah.
seeing who showed up in my life to believe in me before all the evidence was there. It makes me feel like I
Correct.
want to give
Yeah.
that back as well. And I love also what you said about doing it without
Great.
commercial value. Uh, yeah. What do you
Yes.
think has to be true for you to be able to
Hmm.
make that shift where
Yeah.
you are not needing money from your students and you are an angel investor? Like what's standing in the way from here to
Of course, then of course, then I need to
yeah.
accumulate my wealth, which kind of I
Yeah.
am on that
Cool.
path. Yeah, I'm on the path. All right. I'm not going to talk about just passive income kind of thing, but I have my wealth, so I don't need to depend,
Yeah.
so-called my survivor. Right? Yeah. So yeah, I have my plan, and I
Cool.
am on the path.
Well, if there's
Yes.
like one insight or practice that people could take away from this to embrace how you find success and fulfillment, what would that be?
I think the very first thing all of us got to look into and practice and cultivate
Mm.
is self-care. Self-care comes first because it shows up in a person, right? I like to believe that I look pretty good at my age. All right, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, right? That's because self-care
Yeah.
is number one for me. I spend my time and effort on my self-care first because it will show up. If I'm not good from the
Yeah.
inside, it will show up. All right, it will show up. And if I'm not good on the outside, also, if you come back to the question leadership, right? A leader got to look good.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Well, wherever you
Good,
want,
good, good.
what? Thank you so much, by the way, for sharing your strategies and your ideas, your stories. I think it's been really helpful for me to align with a deeper sense of purpose. It's been incredibly inspiring. Where can people connect with you? Where do you want them to be directed if they're attracted to your ideas and think they could grow with you?
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking that. Okay. The easy way to get me, okay, is you could email or go to my website, nancyho.net. Website will
Okay.
be nancyho.net. Right. Email will be nancy@nancyho.net, or you can go to LinkedIn to search Nancy Ho, Coach Nancy Ho, Singapore. You definitely find me. Yeah, or in any of the social media, whether it is in the Instagram, in Facebook, even in TikTok, right? I have got lots of videos there. So that's how one can connect with me. And
Beautiful.
I look forward to
Well,
that.
thank you so much for sharing today. I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm very inspired and I like, if I was feeling the way you're feeling at the age that you're at and the place in life you're at, like I would feel just so like proud and happy of the life that I lived. Thank you for being an example of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.